So it's the record document 29 of Combs, as well as Bad Boy Entertainment, 1 to 10, and Sean Carter. Plaintiff Jane Doe, by and thou her attorneys, Bushby lawyer firm for her complaint alleges. Introduction. The defendant Sean Combs, and along with his longtime friend and collaborator Sean Carter, aka Jayz, drugged, raped a 13-year-old at an after party following 2000 Video Music Awards. I'm just going to read it out directly and not interrupt, and then we'll talk perhaps, okay? Because I haven't got much time to sort of go over what's been out there, you know. But this is the topic today is Sean Carter, Jayz. I just want to get a place in the house where you could hear me, because I do sound muffled sometimes, and I hate that, and I'm sorry. There we are. I've got my bathroom. Yeah, so I thought I'd read it out. And yeah, the 13-year-old was drugged in an after party following the 2000 Video Music Awards. Another celebrity stood by and watched as Combs and Carter took turns assaulting the minor. Many others were present at the after party but did nothing to stop the assault. Combs has been allowed for years to conduct himself in this manner without any consequences. He believes he is above the law. He is not. His close friend Sean Carter has been with Combs during many of such instances described herein. Both perpetrators must be faced to justice. For decades, defendant Combs abused, molested, raped and assaulted and threatened to coerce women and minors and others for sexual gratification, to assert dominance and conceal his abhorrent conduct. He accomplished these acts through a criminal enterprise built on his success as a rapper, record producer and a record executive. Combs is one of the wealthiest music artists in the world, behind the facade of being a 3-time Grammy Award winner, discovering and developing multiple famous musical artists, many on Forbes' list and highest paid entertainers in the world. There existed something sinister and dark underbelly of crime, sex trafficking and forced labour, kidnapping, bribery and prostitution. Combs is a menace to society, women and children. While his wealth has kept him above consequences for years, Combs now faces an awesome power of American justice system, and ultimately a jury of his peers who will be asked to punish him for his deplorable conduct described herein. Combs' business enterprise is a central and pervasive act of sexual abuse and violence committed by him during the last decades. Combs operated his business headquartered at various times in Manhattan, Los Angeles, under the variety of United States based corporation entities, including Bad Boy Entertainment, Bad Boy Books Holdings, Bad Boy Records LLC, Bad Boy Entertainment LLC, and also there's loads, okay? And Combs has also possibly got Jayz as a shareholder in these corporate entities, I reckon. And this is how this operates, okay? The corporate entities in Combs' business portfolio include record labels, recording studio, apparel line, and an alcohol spirits promoting business, a marketing agency, talent discovery, a television network, and media company. On the surface, each of these businesses serves a legitimate purpose related to entertainment, music and other subjects. But reality, Combs, by and through himself and his agents, employees and contractors, use these businesses to sexually assault, abuse, threaten and coerce hundreds of individuals through sexual quid pro quo schemes, as well as to take advantage of individuals with impunity, thinking the victims would never have any recourse. Combs and his agents, employees and contractors through these Combs businesses would tell victims that this is what it takes to be famous. What are you willing to do to become a star and perform this sexual act or else? In exchange for these victims performing a non-consensual act for the gratification of Combs and his cohort, members and associates of Combs' business engaged in and or attempted to engage in, among other activities, sex trafficking, forced labour, interstate transportation, and for purposes of prostitution, coercion and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotic offences, kidnapping, arson and bribery, and obstruction of justice. The Combs businesses constituted an ongoing organisation whose members functioned as a continuing unit for the common purpose to achieve objectives for Combs. Combs' pervasive history of sexual assault and violence. Number 7. For years, Combs and his businesses engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse towards women, men and minors. This abuse was at times verbal, emotional, and physical and sexual. As a part of his pattern to abuse, Combs manipulated both men and women to participate in high orchestrated performances of sexual activity with both commercial sex workers and unexpected partygoers. Combs ensured participation of these individuals by, among other things, obtained and distributed narcotics to them with or without their knowledge, controlling their careers, leveraging their financial support, and threatening to cut off the same, and using intimidation, violence, and illicit drugs. Combs particularly fancied the use of a popular date rape drug called Rohypnol, or GHB, to commit heinous, non-consensual acts of sexual violence and rape onto countless victims. Combs often would secretly use the drug in alcoholic beverages served at his parties. Partygoers were forced to consume alcoholic beverages containing GHB, either prior or entering or while at Combs' party. There are also allegations of Combs dousing victims in lotions or similar body oils, also laced in GHB, so that the drug would be absorbed through the skin and make it easier to assault them and her. Further, it was well known that Combs had a practice of lacing water bottles with other substances such as Xanax and distributing them at parties. 9. Combs' recurrent and pervasive physical abuse took place for multiple decades. His tendency to violence and sexual assault were well known amongst his colleagues, employees and agents and businesses. On numerous occasions from at least in or about 96 and continuing for years, Combs assaulted women and men by striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at them and kicking them. Combs also assaulted children both physically and sexually. In 1996, Combs was found guilty of criminal mischief for threatening a photographer in New York Post with a gun. In 1999, he was arrested and charged with second-degree assault and criminal mischief. Hang on, just closing my window. I'm meant to be having a little rest, because I thought today would be a good opportunity to spend some time with my kids as well, and they're at school, so it's okay. I also need to solve something to do with my home at the moment. I'm under criminal, I'm taking my landlord to court over my house. It's got asbestos in it, so I have to sort a lot of things out about that. That's why I said I was going to have a break, but it was just easier to make up a lie, like me being ill for a bit, you know what I mean? But it's wrong for me to lie, and I'm sorry about that. I don't normally. It was just easier than explaining that, really. But I suppose if something urgent like this comes up about Jay-Z, I've got to put the documents up. So I thought I would, Didn't want to not do it. I'm going anyway. Also, he was arrested for and charged with second-degree assault and criminal mischief in connection with assault of a record executive. Combs was arrested again the same year for his involvement in shooting at a club in New York. Other instances of violence occurred at a Los Angeles hotel in or about March 9th, 2016. That will be the incident, you know, with Cassandra, which was captured on video and later publicly reported, where Kimes kicked, drugged and threw a vase at a woman as she was attempting to leave his hotel room. When hotel security staff intervened, Kimes attempted to bribe the staff member to ensure silence. No surprise. And I burnt my mouth off with my coffee there. I had a bottle of wine last night and I don't normally have a drink. Well, since it's Christmas, obviously. I thought I'd get a bottle of rosé. I drank it in about 2 hours. Honest to God. I don't know how I drank it that quick, but I haven't had a drink for about 6 months, you know, like, I don't say I'm an alcoholic anymore, but I used to be a bad drinker. I used to love it, I'm not gonna lie. But now I sort of can't. I don't know what it is. About 10 years ago, I felt ill smelling it on someone, and it was enough. I think it's like a flashback of the smell of alcohol just makes me go, ugh. So, yeah, I had a bottle last night because I thought, oh, you know what, I've forgotten what it feels like to have a glass of wine. very, I know. I used to be a person who liked vodka and whiskey, were my favourites. But wine was an everyday drink, you know, like it was sort of seen as like water. That's how I used to drink. When I had the baby, my first daughter, it was a shock because firstly I'd never had 9 months where I hadn't drank. Also, I drank a hell of a lot anyway. But when I had Izzy, it took me a while to get better. I had depression. I realised I had depression all my life, really, but not in the sense where people would know. You know, I'm very good at manipulating people to believe that I'm alright, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But where your family is concerned, you can't sort of hide that. And when you have children, being hungover isn't a good idea, is it, ever? So I've never really... I learned by having depression that, you know, when I got better, I suppose, I realised that I didn't need to drink anymore. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, it was more to do with your ability to know yourself and say, I can do that, you know? You know, it's one of those. If you keep telling yourself, oh, but I had a bottle of wine, I had this, you're not going to stop drinking, you know? You just need to realise what it is that you're going to be incredibly strong if you can leave a glass for the next day, and then try not fit, just try and have it later at night. Do things that will help. Don't be staying awake and drinking the whole lot. That's another thing. It's hard. But I suppose the smell of it put me off right away because I was pregnant with my second. And the smell of it on someone, I could smell it on my brother. I've got a nephew, and I could smell it on his dad, you know, at a party when he dropped him off. And I could just, it reeked of wine. I thought, God, that's not nice. You know, I know people who get drunk and get nervous and stuff, they drink a lot, but, you know. Alcohol, everything too much is the devil, and I think they must have thought they could get away with so much. I mean, when I used to take MDMA a lot, right? I've never ever thought like, oh wow, let's be invincible and do this depravity. The depravity of all this is mind-boggling, isn't it? Because we've had this whole, well, I've been thinking for a while about Jay-Z, especially when he come on the scene with Beyonce. He was talentless to me, you know what I mean? But obviously he's up cock from where he is today, and it now shows. So, you know, I'm I'm disgusted that a lot of the girls have been sacrificed to this bastard. And I think also with Rihanna as well, you know, very talented woman, but, you know, gets taken advantage of by people. You know, she was a girl from Barbados, you know, very young, 9 tattoos by the age of 19. And, you know, you think to yourself, she isn't being looked after properly. You know, and just to think of it, like, when you have your own kids, God no, you know. She's got to have kids, she's got to have a future, and she's going to think back on that and think, wow, as well took advantage of. Traumatic, that, you know. The girl who was nearly thrown off that 17th floor, that, to me, more than all the rest of it, you know, that's terrifying, that's the depravity. It's so depraved. It's another level, that's why we're talking about it. These people, like human, they walk in all types of background, don't they? Satanical people. And I'm not saying that term loosely. These people believe in satanical abuse. Satanical ritual abuse. So it compares to the human case. To me, that's where my level of I find fascinating in a crime, because I think it's beyond what we know, and it's a more evil than what we anticipated. That I feel there's a darkness in this world. There's a light too. There's, you know, there's the good and the bad people out there. We have a lot to thank technology for now, you know. So I welcome AI. I don't care about AI. I don't care about, but because the more we know about these depraved individuals who rule the roots, like these pharmaceutical companies, like these music corporations, yeah, these corporate people, they need to be held to account. These are evil bastards. You know, I do believe Ala Carter and what she's saying, but I don't think it's her story, because she wouldn't be on camera. Girls like this, right, they'd be too scared, you know. They'd be too scared to be talking. That's why I was so shocked to see Aja. And then forthwith, I thought, she's doing something to corrupt the case, you know. These type of depravity actions will become boring to us in the end. There's medical things we don't know about out there that the body's used for. You know, your teeth, you know, things are used to embody hair. You know, girls are trafficked, or people go missing, children go missing a lot. And what's going to become, I'm not mean boring by that way, I mean boring by the sense like, we know it's around. We know what RA means in the future. We know that these people, no one should be idolised, because you're all part of it then. You go to these concerts to these type of people, you're for the taking. You know, sacrifices. Jaguar Wright was just on before talking about it, and you know, that sacrifice to them. Travis Scott, you know, was it a sacrifice? I mean, it's like the Manchester bombing. I always think there's a little bit of a, you know, when that question that come out about that. Now, I question everything since 9/11 happened, so I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but you know, I like to read up a lot, you know, and you can be kidded by the internet. There's a lot of ways for these people to omit things from the internet and make sure that nobody sees, you know, certain things, you know, stuff about Aaliyah, stuff about, it's there but it's lost, you know, the things she was doing at the time, the stuff, her family, and she's not the only one, is she? There's many, you know. But he seems to have a taste for these very young women, and I didn't know he was that old. But he's an ugly monster. He's just such an ogre, you know. I don't know what it is. I don't think these men, they've had it lucky. They've had it really lucky, and they're so idolise them out their own selves that much. The stuff that they treated artists, their own artists, like, you know, and you're making money off these kids, you know. Why? Jay-Z, why? You know? Because you deprive perverts as much as P. Diddy and the rest of them. And I'm glad he's getting exposed. I might not 100% believe all these civil cases. And what I really recommend in these series of these serial fucking amount of civil complaints, right, is more details involved, because this is just highlighting the same shit every time. Okay? Or maybe I've read it before, I don't know. But it's naming Joy Dickinson Neal, who sued Combs in New York in 1991, who sexually assaulted her. Liz Gardner, she was only 16 in 1990 or 91. In 2003, a victim alleged employees business associates of Combs infiltrated the enterprise, lured her to Combs' home to rape her. In 2024, Rodney Jones talks about being assaulted. Crystal McKinney, April Lamprose sued Combs, and McKinney alleged Combs drugged her, sexually assaulted her, and recorded in studio in 2003. Then we know about Cassie, you know. An intern at Arista Records in May of 2024, New York, came to the Supreme Court to file complaints against him. 2024 in July, former adult star Adrian English came forward. In September 2024, Dawn Richards. In September 2024, federal grand jury in Manhattan indicted Combs, charged with sex trafficking, enabled and compared with his employees' reassurance and influence of a multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labour, kidnapping and arson and bribery and obstruction of justice. Combs' long history of violence against women is unequivocally establishes that his actions are motivated by gender. Combs has a long history of violence against women, unequivocally establishes that his actions are motivated by gender, both men and women. Combs has profound contempt for women and a desire to dominate both minors and other men. His conduct shows a long-standing practice defeating and attempting to humiliate men and women and children. His practices and desires are different for men, women and children, but his actions are unequivocally motivated by the victim's particular gender and age. Plaintiff's allegations herein substantially mirror Combs' prior conduct as established through the criminal indictments and other lawsuits. Through this case, the plaintiff seeks a full measure of justice from a man who thought his power and money and influence rendered him untouchable. Plaintiff joins many other victims by filing a complaint in hopes their common voice makes it impossible for Combs to assault another person. Defendant Carter is, like Combs, a wildly successful rapper and businessman. Carter and Combs have a long history together. Carter met and began collaborating musically with Combs in the 90s. Combs and Carter rose together to the very top of hip-hop industry in the terms of the fame and influence by the end of that decade. Combs and Carter were not simply occasional collaborators in the music industry. The two men developed a close friendship that has been well documented from the late 1990s to the present. Together they attended countless music industry events for each other's business ventures and parties and after parties. Indeed, the two are apparently so close that Combs stated in 2023 that Carter is the only person other than Combs' mother who is allowed to call him by his legal first name, Sean. Because he's his boyfriend. In 2000, near the height of their fame, power and influence, Combs and Carter attended the 2000 Music Video Awards in New York City. Afterwards, Combs hosted a after party for many of the most famous celebrities in the music and entertainment industry. It included Carter, which is where the events alleged in this complaint occurred. 25. The plaintiff, Jane Doe, is a female who resides in Alabama. Defendant Sean Combs is a male who, on information and belief, resides in New York City. Through incarceration in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. On information and belief, at all relevant times, Combs owned and controlled Bad Boy Entertainment Holding Incorporated, Bad Boy Productions Holding Incorporated, and Bad Boy Books Incorporated, Bad Boy Entertainment LLC, Bad Boy Recordings LLC, and Productions collectively. Daddy's House Recording and collectively again. The fact of the Combs ownership and titles of Combs corporations enabled and conspired with him to commit unlawful sexual violence against the plaintiff described herein. Defendant Daddy's House Recordings Incorporated. Daddy's House is a domestic business corporation that is incorporated in New York and on information and belief now has its principal place in the business at 9255 Sunset Boulevard, 2nd floor, West Hollywood, California. Combs is listed as a CEO in public filings with a listed address in 1710 Broadway, New York. At the time of the events alleged herein, Daddy's House was a world-class recording studio owned by Combs, located in 44th Street in New York. On information and belief, at all relevant times, and Bad Boy and Combs together owned and operated Daddy's House. On information and belief, Bad Boy Recording Studio was located on the premises of Daddy's House. I see. Combs used the Daddy's House. Oh, it even sounds like you shouldn't take your kid there, doesn't it? Eh? Daddy's House. If that doesn't scream the P word, I don't know what does. Stature and their ownership and titles at Daddy's House to commit unlawful sexual violence against plaintiff. Described herein, defendant CEO OpCo LLC, Combs Global, Combs Enterprise. Here we go again. Combs Global is a limited company incorporated in Delaware. Okay. Information and belief, all members of Combs Global citizens of Delaware, New York, and California. On information and belief, Combs. Okay. It's part owned by Bad Boy record label brand. Has established several corporate entities under the Bad Boy, obviously. We've went through all that with Adria's complaint, what her solicitor said. The defendant, Bad Boy Holding, is a domestic corporation. Bad Boy Entities is now owned by and controlled by Combs and Combs Global. Used as Bad Boy premises, recording studio, ownership and titles, and the awful alleged sexual against the plaintiff. Yes, okay. this must have been where the after party must have been. But then again, it says one in California as well. So I think it's just going through the listings again. Yeah, we're all quite aware of this anyway, so I'm going to bypass this. Okay, defendants, organisational those 1 to 10 are currently unknown entities who were owned by and or employed by defendant Combs. Now that's scary. And enabled and conspired with the commission of the conduct complaint of hearing. As the parties engage in discovery, plaintiff retains the right to amend the complaint to add these entities by name, but she doesn't know them yet, or who they are. Defendants individuals 1 to 10 are currently unknown, celebrities and persons of interest. Who enabled and conspired with the commission of conduct complaint hearing. As the parties engage in discovery, plaintiff retains the right to amend the complaint to add these individuals by name. Defendant Sean Carter is a male who, on information and belief, maintains and resides in both New York and Los Angeles. Defendant Carter is more commonly known in the industry as Jayz. Carter is identified in the plaintiff's original complaint as Celebrity A. Okay. I read the original complaint, but I didn't record it and post it. You know, I just read it because it's someone young. I didn't know that happened, but you know, I'm not. You know, you don't know if these things are true. You know, after I read Adrian English's, I felt there was a lot missing in them details that made me question it a bit. Upon presence, information and belief, Jayz responded to said letter by not only filing an utterly frivolous lawsuit, but by also orchestrating a conspiracy of harassment, bullying and intimidation by the plaintiff's lawyers and their families. Right. That's why she feels like she has to come forward then. Because these people are getting harassed, these victims are not. You know. Stupid that a 13-year-old was alone in that position. The plaintiff and to discredit her counsel. This is an effort meant to scare the plaintiff and discredit her counsel. That effort failed. Indeed, plaintiff chose to file this amendment as a result of the egregious conduct perpetrated by Carter. Each of the Combs corporations aid as embedded Combs in committing unlawful sexual violence against the plaintiff described herein. Are alter egos for Combs completely dominated by him and used his personal interests and engage in wrongdoing which harmed the plaintiff and others, and serve or have served as a vehicles for Combs to move, dispose of, and insulate his assets, including the connection with his criminal activities to avoid compensating victims of his many crimes, including the plaintiff, jurisdiction and venue. Okay, the court, because I've read another one of Jay-Z's and there was nothing on it. It was only filed as publicly seen, yeah. So there was something in 2018. And he didn't go for it. I don't know what it was. It might have been a civil complaint that someone's filed, and he didn't go to court for it to be spoken to. This court has subject matter jurisdiction pursuant to, and because of this case is between citizens of different states, and the amount of controversy exceeds 75,000. Okay. This court has specific personal jurisdiction over defendants because the acts giving rise to the plaintiff's claims took place in New York State. And because several of the defendants are from New York State or regularly transact business in New York State, venue is proper in district because a substantial part of the events or omissions giving rise to the claims occurred in the district. Plaintiff hereby demands a trial by jury. All right. Fair enough. Yeah, go on. On the around 7th of 2000, the plaintiff, then only 13, had a friend drive and drop her off at Radio City Music Hall in New York City, so she could try to attend the music awards. Attending the VMAs was the plaintiff's bucket list, and believed she could gain entry. This is how they get them, innit? The plaintiff arrived at the venue and saw large crowds gathering as the artists and entertainers began to arrive. The plaintiff was very excited. Number 40, as the events began, much of the crowd moved inside, but the plaintiff without a ticket remained outside with others and watched MTV on the jump bot run. Determined to get into the VMAs or the after party, she approached several limousine drivers parked nearby and attempted to talk her way into either an after party or the event, you know what I mean? Being 13 and cheeky, you know what you're like. We were all 13 once. One of the limousine drivers she spoke to claimed to work for the defendant Combs. It's horrible. The driver told her that Combs liked younger girls, and said she fit what Diddy was looking for. I read about him being near a baby like that. And while not allowing her into the music awards, the driver invited her to the after party. The driver stated that he had to drive Combs and others to the after party first, but instructed the plaintiff to return to his location after the event and that he pick her up and take her to the after party. Later that evening, the plaintiff excitedly returned to the same location and waited what seemed to her a long time. The driver eventually returned and drove her to what's described as the after party. I wonder who this driver is. You know, these people should be reporting these people, you know, as well. He's the adult driving her to a man's fucking mansion. Once inside, two men asked the plaintiff to sign a document, which the plaintiff did not read, but just which she now believes to have been a non-disclosure agreement. Ridiculous. That's ridiculous, getting someone that young to sign that. She was told that she could not discuss what happened at the party. She gave the man her name and signed the form and did not receive a copy. See, this is off document one, you know, one of the first lawsuit I saw. And it was a 13-year-old, you know, but it didn't have the celebrity's name, and did it? Inside the building, the plaintiff recognised many celebrities as she entered what appeared to be a large living room or foyer containing a large crowd. The plaintiff attempted to mingle in the crowd and talk to several of the celebrities that she recognised whom had wanted to see at the VMAs. Wait staff circulated through the room, carrying trays of drinks, and loud music played throughout the venue. Plaintiff observed a widespread drug use, including marijuana and cocaine. After attempting to talk to numerous celebrities, the plaintiff accepted a drink from the witness and circulated the crowd. The drink was reddish brown, a mixture, and tasted like orange juice, cranberry, and something bitter. After drinking just a portion of that drink, the plaintiff began to feel woozy and lightheaded, making her way to lie down. Now, the girl probably didn't drink before, and not knowing that drinks don't work like that. Alcohol, if you're only drinking half of it and it's diluted with stuff, it doesn't have that effect. You know what I mean? You're just getting a little bit tipsy, that's all. So she shouldn't have had that effect, unless it was drugged, obviously. The photograph in the actual exemplary container used by Combs and his agents to employ and search GHB into alcoholic drinks as seen below. Oh, and pens and stuff. Wow. Wow. Or is that just a pen to describe the... Looking for a place to rest, plaintiff walked down and what appeared to be a hallway containing several rooms. Off it, she entered what appeared to be an empty bedroom, so she could lie down for a moment. As you do. Well, you do, don't you? You know, you're only a child. You're not going to think, oh my God, I'm just going to go for a lie down. She probably thought, oh, I'll be all right in a minute. She didn't know what was happening, you know. She did not lock the door. This room contained only a large bed with no furniture of any kind, television or other furnishings. Soon after, Combs entered the room along with defendant Carter and a female celebrity B. They calling her Celebrity B. Plaintiff immediately recognised all three celebrities. I have a feeling it's Beyonce. Combs aggressively approached plaintiff with a crazed look in his eyes, grabbed her and said, "You are ready to party." The Combs then threw the plaintiff towards the wall, causing the plaintiff to fall. Plaintiff got up and stumbled, at which point Combs grabbed her again and threw her on the bed. At that point, Carter began removing the plaintiff's clothes, and she grew more and more disorientated. Plaintiff was held down by Carter as she was vaginally raped, while Combs and the celebrity B watched. Sick. After Carter finished, she stepped back towards the wall. Combs then stepped forward and vaginally raped plaintiff while Carter and celebrity B watched. Combs then knocked plaintiff down and attempted to force plaintiff to perform oral sex on him. She fought back, standing up quickly and punching out at the same time, hitting Combs in the neck. Taken back, Combs stopped his attempt. When Combs backed away, in surprise, the plaintiff grabbed her clothes and shoes and she ran out of the bedroom, holding her dress in front of her like a towel. She ran around the residence until she found the front door and was able to leave the party. Although there were other guests still at the party, no one appeared taking notice of the plaintiff's distress or attempted to help her. Once outside, the plaintiff put her clothes back on and left the scene in the dark. Plaintiff attempted to retrace the route taken by a limo driver. She kept running until she reached a gas station she noticed on the way to the party. A female clerk noticed her distress and allowed her to use the phone. The plaintiff called her father. admitted that she had lied about her whereabouts and asked him to pick her up. Plaintiff's father had picked her up, and shortly before dawn, after the assault, the plaintiff fell into a deep depression which continues to affect every facet of her life. The plaintiff suffers with post-traumatic stress disorder and a seizure disorder caused by the stress and the trauma. The plaintiff has had difficulty maintaining normal relationships and lives largely withdrawn from society. First cause of action: violation of New York City Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act. All defendants. Plaintiff hereby incorporates each of the foregoing paragraphs as fully set forth herein. By forcing sexual contact onto the plaintiff as a minor female, defendant Combs and Carter committed a crime of violence motivated by gender under the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act. Disgusting, but not about it. It's like the age thing, It's not mentioned about the age, it's just about she's female. As defined in the New York City Administration Code, but you see in another state that he'd be classed as raping as a minor in Alabama. Or in California. Yeah, be a different penalty there. The requirement that the crime violence is committed because of the gender or on the basis of gender and due at least part to be based on the victim's gender is satisfied because the defendant Combs and Carter forced minor plaintiff to engage in sexual interaction without consent. Jane Doe could not effectively consent because of her age. The non-consensual sex touching of a minor presented as a serious risk to physical injury and in fact caused such injury. Gender herein inheres when consent is absent. Combs' long history of violence and sexual abuse against women evinces a deep contempt and desire for domination over women. The Combs business enables and conspired with Combs and Carter to commit violence motivated by gender because Combs and Carter sexually assaulted the plaintiff at our party, related to a referencing Combs' business. On information and belief, Combs' businesses routinely committed sexual assault on the gender motivated by violence, as detailed on other civil lawsuits, to further the business purpose of Combs' enterprise. Given Combs' long-standing pattern and practice of committing sexual violence against women, the Combs business and should have knowledge of Combs using such parties and venues for unlawful conduct and did nothing to stop it. The Combs business enabled and conspired with Combs to commit crimes of violence motivated by gender by failing to, among other things, protect the plaintiff from known danger and or have sufficient policies and procedures to place and prevent sexual assault and or train their employees to identify and preventing sexual assault, given a long-standing pattern and practice of committing sexual violence against women, including on premises owned and operated by defendants, should have knowledge of Combs was a danger to the plaintiff and did nothing to stop Combs. Well, there was plenty of incidents before this one, probably. And we read there's two that we know of sexual abuse. What were hidden. Because probably didn't have the internet then, you know what I mean? Combs businesses enabled and conspired with Combs to commit the crime of violence motivated by gender by failing to properly supervise the Combs business and knowledge should have knowledge of Combs' widespread and well-known practice of committing abuse and gender-motivated violence, including on the premises owned and operated by the defendants, and did nothing to stop it. Combs corporations further enabled and conspired with Combs to commit violence motivated by gender and actively placing, maintaining and employing Combs in positions of power and authority despite in fact that they knew and or should have known that Combs had a widespread and well-known practice of committing sexual assault and gender-motivated violence, including on the premises owned and operated by Combs. Combs used his titles and authority conferred by the Combs business, including CEO and founder, chairman, and facilitate and perpetuate in the violent assaults on the plaintiff, and to intimidate and force the plaintiff to keep quiet in subsequent years. On information and belief, plaintiff alleges the defendant's organisational dose 1 to 10, inclusive, are other parties not yet identified who have enabled and conspired with Combs to commit the crime of violence motivated by gender in the ways articulated above and in other ways. As a result, defendant's actions, plaintiff suffered damages in the amount of determined by trial and pursuant the fee shifting provision of the statute. This legal action has been commenced within the statutory time frame provided by the 2-year look-back window of the, and the New York City Administration Code. Wherefore, the plaintiff respectfully requested the judgment to be entered against the defendants as follows: awarding compensatory damages for all physical injuries, emotional distress, physical, psychological harm, anxiety, humiliation, physical and emotional pain and suffering, family and social disruption, and other harm in an amount to be determinable by trial. Awarding punitive damages in an amount to be determined by trial. Awarding attorneys' fees and costs pursuant to any applicable statute or law. Awarding pre- and post-judgment interests on all damages, fees and costs. Attaching any or all defendants' real properties and other assets located in the state of New York City to the Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 64 and awarding such other further relief as this court may deem just and proper. And that's on December 8th. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's just that now, and I hope that helped. And doesn't it interest you that they went back and targeted her? They just premeditatedly targeted this poor girl and did nothing but abuse their power. And this girl's a minor. He's disgusting. He's the pervert, and they need looking away. And these are not just the type of perverts, says here, you had a U-shaped driveway, and all that, it had. I don't know if it's in his New York home. Yes, there's probably the Hamptons, Manhattan. I don't know, but it didn't happen in. See, this what goes on in Jay-Z's house. If this is what he does at parties in front of people, So it just makes you realise, doesn't it, the depth and depravity. And R. Kelly isn't just. See, this is the thing. It's so many people connected with Jay-Z, young people. You know what I mean? Young girls. I'm surprised. I was disgusted when Beyonce got with him, really, because it felt like she sang all them songs about girl power. And what you get being with this criminal, you know what I mean? Thug, and do anything for fame, even shit songs, Well, anyway, that's all we have time for, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and please watch my other videos. I've got hundreds in there, loads of cases involving Diddy, but I'm going to do more versatile cases, and I'm going to see, in this time I'm going to have a break, sort stuff out to do with my home, and come back with fresh ideas and a great new year, and make it new year, new start for our channel. And I hope you subscribe and look forward to the future. Take care, my guys. Bye bye.